Hello, my name is Paul Klein. I'm the president of Impakt, a consultancy that helps corporations and nonprofit organizations improve the business impact of their community investment programs. And I also write a blog about corporate responsibility for Canadian Business Online. And I want to welcome you to the first in an ongoing series about corporate responsibility we're calling Conversations about Corporate Responsibility. Today, to start the series, I'm very pleased to have James Temple with me.
Thank you.
From Direct Energy. James is the manager of corporate donations. Direct Energy was started in North America in 2000, I believe, and is North America's largest energy retailer. It has about 5,000 employees, I believe, across North America, as well as more than 5 million business and residential customers. I thought I'd start out by asking James, at the most strategic level, I found it interesting that Direct Energy has chosen homelessness as its priority issue to focus on. And I was curious to know, from your point of view, how the company came to choose that as an issue, and in what ways that's actually deployed.
Homelessness is an issue, but when we look more broadly at Direct Energy's philanthropic focus areas within our responsibility program, it really looks at vulnerable customers and how we can assist communities in need. We look at how to provide energy efficiency solutions, how to support them in our employee interests, and most importantly, how we can remove barriers to access, such as energy and the affordability of that, across North America. So logically for us, homelessness was a nice fit. As a testament, I think, to this work, we've partnered with interesting charitable organizations within Canada, Raising the Roof, Canada's only organization dedicated to finding solutions to youth homelessness.
In your minds, when you were actually developing this program, what was the order of priority in terms of the stakeholder groups that you felt important to address?
First and foremost, being a company that was starting up, we wanted to understand what's important to our employees. Because at the end of the day, your employees are your brand ambassadors. They're the people that speak to your clients directly. And if they don't share the passion with what you're about, your program really can't get off the ground. It has no legs. Secondly, we wanted to find an issue that was important to the communities in which we operate. It has to have relevance. People have to understand why this relates not only to your business, to your employees, but to them.
One of the things that we find is most important is executive endorsement. And just practically speaking, executives are busy, they're focused on the bottom line. This area may not, be able to capture their attention as much as some other areas. I was curious to know, in your experience, how you've been able to engage your executives in the program.
We have numerous executives sitting on boards of directors on nonprofits across North America, and routinely have meetings with them to ask, what is important to this community program? What is important to you? More so, here's what we've heard and what's important to our employees. So we take a top-down approach to management, but also a bottom-up through the creation of regional community investment committees, which an executive chairs, all the way to asking our clients, again, what is important, how are we doing, looking at continuous improvement of the program and what we can do to be best in class and a leader within the sector.
From what you know so far, I know the program is, still in its relatively early days, but what is the degree to which your business and or residential customers know of and maybe are engaged in the program in some way today, and also where do you see it going, and where's the aiming point for you?
We could look at this in three ways. I believe the first way is looking at some examples on how we've actually engaged our client base. I bring again Raising the Roof from Toronto, Canada, where we were able to create a co-partnership brochure that was distributed to each one of our clients' households and educated them on what we're doing around the issues of finding solutions to homelessness, why it's important, and helped look at, again, how it relates to our core business. Secondly, we've engaged our client base in activities with nonprofit organizations to really engage them in what we're doing. We've invited them on charity walks, to partnership events where nonprofits have spoken, and really embedded messaging around corporate responsibility and community engagement into our annual report, into our corporate responsibility report. And lastly, we ask for their feedback. How does this make our brand one that you'd like to do business with?
You mentioned Raise the Roof, and an organization based here in Toronto, and I believe you also, is it Star of Hope, the organization that you're a partner with in Texas? Obviously, partnerships with nonprofit organizations are fundamentally important. How did you come to choose those particular organizations?
When we looked at all of our markets, we asked first our employees, what charities do you know about and what is important to the community? Because as we sit in national offices and different headquarters throughout North America in any company, we want to make sure that the charities we choose to partner with have resonance in the local market. We want to ensure that they have programs and services that we can be fully engaged in, because we see community investment as a joint partnership. It's not just about giving money to a charity. It's about how we can work together to have joint ownership of that program, the corporation embedding skilled volunteer activities, engaging our staff in team building exercises, understanding how nonprofits work because they have great wisdom.
One of the things that is one of the biggest challenges I think that corporations face in this area is once a strategic issue has been identified and nonprofit organizations have been engaged in the process, still I think a difficulty sometimes in balancing corporate business objectives with more regional or local business objectives. And I was curious to know, at Direct Energy, how you wrestle with that balance and measure the impact as well.
We have a unique corporate culture. Through the acquisition of many companies, we have a bit of a patchwork of unique identities and unique cultures, and we celebrate that by taking a joint ownership approach to our community investment program. One of the things we do is have an annual employee opinion survey to understand what our employee expectations are of the program, how we're doing, and what we can do to continually improve that. The second component to this is really looking at it from a grassroots level. It's great to have corporate focus areas, again, vulnerable customers, energy efficiency, climate change, environment, and finding solutions to homelessness. But if we don't support our employees, we can't get that message out. So we have regional community investment councils chaired by a member of our executive team that help us identify charities at a local level that are important, but also how to leverage them, how we can really integrate through skill-based volunteers and be creative, aside from simply cutting a check, to develop these partnerships in a way that really have broad impact. Lastly, we offer a robust array of employee support programs. We have a Corporate Citizen of the Year award to recognize one employee who's done some incredible work both inside the company and the community. We have matching grants for corporate teams who are participating in walks and skips and runs, dollars for doers grants for employee volunteers. And we also offer employees one paid day off per year to volunteer at a charity of their choice.
At a brand level for a corporation like Direct Energy, what's your sense of how well your community program has been integrated and the degree to which it's seen to be a part of Direct Energy in some way?
Well, our brand really is about being the first choice for customers and for employees. And through our community brand, we've been looking at how we can help communities help each other and connect individuals to programs and services that really have an impact in their lives. We will never be a large bank and be able to give out millions of dollars, but what we can do is be creative in the way that we administer our partnerships.
Another area which I think is something which many corporations don't consider in terms of their partnerships with nonprofit organizations is looking at opportunities to work with partners to use and leverage the partners' internal and external communications. In addition to using, and leveraging corporate communications. I was just wondering if you've had an experience at Direct Energy or if some of the partners that you mentioned, like Raising the Roof, also help you communicate this program in some way.
We see nonprofits as a great source of wisdom. You may have one person doing the role of 20 people, and we can learn a great deal about not only how to benefit our business, but how to work together better. So one of the things that we do with our nonprofit agencies is invite them inside of our company to help our employees do team building exercises, to educate them on the challenges that the nonprofit sector faces, but also how they communicate their messages. And what this allows us to do is really think outside of the box.
So I was curious to know from James, from your point of view, how you measure what you're doing, both from a business and social point of view, and how that measurement process contributes or not to executive endorsement and to program improvement.
We look at return on investment and the measures associated as such in three main pillars, those that are philanthropic, strategic, and commercial to the business, not only from a corporate perspective, but also from a nonprofit perspective. Traditionally, the industry has looked at, as a result of my funding, we've had the following social impacts, but we've moved that to the next level and developed joint commitments with nonprofit organizations. So not only is it as a result of our funding, but what is the nonprofit's expectations on our partnership? How many employees would they like for us to volunteer with them that year? What are those roles and responsibilities? And what are the impacts we can do together? We look at that impact from the sense of how it develops our corporate culture and our employee engagement, not only our employee engagement scores, but also how involved employees are with volunteerism. Manulife Financial has done a fabulous study on employee attrition rates as a result of positive volunteerism, and we're looking to do a similar study to show that what we hope, employees who volunteer more often and have a very positive experience with the company also have a high level of retention. And that in itself is an incredible message, not only to send to a company, to a community, but to our executive.
James, hoping you could sort of run through, in your mind, what are the things that people really need to keep in mind or remember about community investment?
Well, certainly. At Direct Energy, the essence of our community program has really been banked on working with our employees and our stakeholders within the community and understanding what their issues are and how we can deliver on those. Again, discussing with our executive and our employees through opinion surveys what is important and how we can continually improve our program, and developing program elements such as volunteer grants or paid days off to volunteer that really reflect what the interests are. And lastly, working with nonprofit organizations to develop joint commitments and expectations on one another, because community investment is no longer about simply giving money to the community. It's about a joint expectation and development and capacity building of not only the sector, but the communities in which we operate.
I want to thank James Temple, as Manager of Corporate Donations at Direct Energy, for being with me today for the first of a series of conversations about corporate responsibility brought to you by Impakt and Canadian Business Online. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Paul.